Amazing Women Speak podcast, inspiring and motivating every Black woman to own, honor, and execute her amazing, individually and collectively, as it was established at birth.
Good evening. Happy Sunday. I'm Crystal L. Gunn, and welcome to another episode of Amazing Women Speak. Thank you so much for joining us again today. And so while you're getting settled in for the show, hit the share button and share Amazing Women Speak so your friends and followers can get in on this great conversation. And you know we're going to have another one today. So the pillars of the Amazing Woman Network are reclaiming personal power, mind, body, and spirit, reclaiming financial power, and increasing our social involvement. So the next few episodes are derived from those pillars, specifically reclaiming our power. And today's episode is all about the source of power that we have within and how tapping into it can propel us toward personal transformation. And it's all about elevation. The topic is the energy within, harnessing spiritual power for personal growth. But before we can get to our dynamic guest, I must first welcome my BFF. Thank you, ma'am, for saying yes to Amazing Women Speak and coming
Hey.
amazing with the world.
Absolutely.
How
Where
are you?
else would I be? I'm great. How are you?
Fantastic.
Awesome. Really, I don't know if I say this every week, but really looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah, this is going to be a good one.
Right? Like really being able to talk about the power that we all have within and what happens when we discover it. Absolutely looking forward. So I do say every week for sure that this is the fastest hour of your day. And so we invite you from whatever platform you are joining us from to tap in, to drop your comments, your questions, your thoughts in the chat. And we'd love to pull them in and make them a part of this conversation. A conversation that we could not have without some amazing women sharing their stories and their journeys. So let's get to it. Zenell, come in and introduce yourself to the folks.
Good evening. Thank you for having me, Crystal and Michelle. I am Zenell Brown, lawyer, certified diversity professional, author, facilitator of vision board workshops and other things to do with women and women empowerment. I'm so glad to be here this evening.
Welcome. Look forward to having this conversation with you. Dr. Powell.
Hey. Hello there. I'm so glad to be here. It's good to see you, Michelle. Good to see you, Crystal. Of course, Zenell. I call her Zenell, y'all. So that's habit now. Yeah, I'm Anita, and I'm a mom and a grandmom. Say that first. I'm the founder of the Tap Into You movement. I'm a poet, Michigan unemployed worker advocate. Let's see. Just created, which I'm so excited. I just created a podcast, an audio, which is called The Awareness Shift, which consists of weekly vibrations. And within that awareness shift is also beyond the mere insights where I'm talking about self-awareness. I'm an energy practitioner specializing in self-awareness, metaphysical in nature. And I'm just so happy to be here.
We are excited to have another conversation with you, Doc. It's going to be a good one. And so because we only have an hour.
Like, get your pens out now.
Because the gems are dropping, right? Like they are on their way, I am sure. And you don't want to miss out. So definitely grab your pens, your paper, your phone, however you capture gems that you want to pull on later. Now would be the time to do that. And because this is going to be an amazing conversation, and because we have a short time to go a really long way, I do want to just dive right in. And I want to spend some time talking about the denial of the spiritual power within and the awakening. What was that journey like for both of you? Because we have discovered that it is in each and every one of us. And I believe in Black women, it's times 10, right? Mm-hmm. But there's a denial for a really long time before there's an awakening. So would love to hear that part of your journey. Dr. Powell, I'll start with you.
Oh, okay. The denial for me was owning responsibility
Mm.
to recognize that I have this amazing power that's connected with the universe and with each other. That meant that, okay, now I have to own my responsibility. Now I have to say, it's on me. I can't put
Mm.
it on you. Now I have to say, oh, if I do something and I own this power, that means I can succeed. So now I can't be afraid. So I might be afraid of success. I can't do that anymore because now I'm owning that power. And then once the awakening is just that empowered thing. And I'm not saying, the awakening does not mean everything diminishes. There's no fear.
Right.
There's no, sometimes even bitterness. What the awakening, the empowerment means for me is that I can feel that fear and do it anyway. I can feel that shadow or experience that shadow thought and say, okay, you're human, deal with it, recognize it, give it some attention. And then because of the power within me, then I say, okay, now it's time. Go, let me get rid of that thought so that now I can think something else. So that's how the denial and the empowerment came for me.
So let's unpack that a little bit, right? So you knew it was there. There was the denial because you knew what it was going to require of you, right? Like that
Absolutely.
accountability.
Absolutely.
What was that thing? Was there an event that happened, a series of events that says denial is no longer an option, right? Like this thing that I need to be accountable to, I am required to do it. My ancestors are requiring it. My children, like whatever that thing was, it a thing, a series of events that said I can no longer deny?
I think for me it was a series of events. However, the pivot came recently when our family, we're still going through a series of dynamics. I share with people now, says it's just our family's turn to go through. It's our
Mm,
family's turn to overcome.
mm,
And because of that, and it's close knit, I've had to really do some serious readjusting and refocusing and rebelieving things. I had to really come to grips to understand that, okay, even some things that I thought may have been God in nature or it's spiritual in nature, it was not. It was my ego. And it was like
mm,
the universe taught me and said, you know what, while you thinking, okay, this is, and this was be during meditation. I mean, I stopped meditating. I've meditated since the 80s. And when that occurred with this family dynamic, I still haven't really gotten back to it. I'm more of a contemplative gal now, kind of thing. But that all of that taught me, okay, I've got to be careful. I've got to be careful and really know, really understand there's the humanness of me and there's the divinity of me. And sometimes, just because I may want it and I'm in this state of stillness and being, that does not mean that my ego is not there. It is still down. And that's something that I had to, I'm still coming to, learning it.
right. It
Yeah.
is a journey. Thank
Yeah.
you. Chanel.
So I'm so glad you asked Dr. Powell to go first. Because I was like, let me think about that one. Um, so what my mind went to is like in 2000, 1997, 1998. The whole denial was like you're sold this narrative that you're supposed to succeed. Just s- learn what you're supposed to learn, do what you're supposed to do, show up, and it's about success, success, success.
Mm,
And I had a mentor at that time who I just met accidentally. And she says, I want you to come to this women's workshop. It was the power of women, and also it was a listening workshop, and it was women only. And it was like the first time being invited into just a group of women. And we spent like a whole week together. And it was like, wow. And you could feel the calling forth in the room. We did work in a chair. It was called like angel chair work and things like that. And it was like, wow, this is really deep. And it's like getting to realize that you have a responsibility, not necessarily for success, but for significance. You have a collective responsibility, and you're holding this energy up that It's bigger than you, but you're being a container for it to flow through.
Mm.
And you're willing to be vulnerable, you're willing to be strong, you're willing to look at all the narratives that have been given to you based upon your being a woman, based on you being a woman of color, and you decide, does that narrative fit or does it not fit? If it doesn't fit, what do you want the narrative to be? How do you go out and shape that narrative? And it was like from that moment, then looking for other women, other collective of women, where I feel like we create that sacred space, doing and being who I need to be, but also empowering others to be and do what they need to do as well. And it's
Yeah.
and as Dr. Powell pointed out, it's a journey because you know what it feels like, but you are also distracted from a lot of things in life and just living itself, that sometimes you lose it. So you got to have the ability to retreat, go back, go forward, retreat, go back, go forward, to reflect and keep building that muscle.
Yeah.
So what does that look like, right? One of the things we like to do on this show is really give folks the resources, the how-tos, sharing some of that experience, right? Versus I woke up one day and the sun was shining and everything was great, right? Like, no, there's some crap that you have to go through. There's some tears that you're gonna cry, right? Like there's gonna be this experience, and keep showing up, right? Like what does that look like? That
So,
reflection, the retreat.
so one of the things is, first of all, that you're going to get very still. You're going to move your busyness aside. You're going to
Mm.
have to block out time for it. The way that you make an appointment for anything that's important on your calendar, you're going to make an appointment for that. You're also going to look to see what your habits are day by day. And is there something different you can do? On Facebook, we have a group called Women with Wisdom and Courage. And it's like I do a post. At one point, I was doing a post every day. Now I do a post once a week. And then other women are doing posts in between those days. And it's like, share a thought, ask a question, be provoked, thought provoking, share, what you're up to, lift somebody else up. What can we do collectively? How can we get together in person sometimes, but how can we stay connected virtually to have conversations and to make it a safe space for every woman to feel like, okay, I can belong here and I have something to offer and it's value.
Doc, I think you were going to add something to that.
Oh, what I was going to say, the practice or the how-to number one is without, sometimes people don't want to hear it, but discipline. This is not going to happen without discipline.
Mm-mm.
And that's just the way it is. It's disciplined enough to want to discipline to move forward in knowing self. And that takes discipline. Just like you were saying, Michelle, the sun, comes out. Yes, and the sun does come on. You smiling and stuff, and it's a beautiful day. But you got to recognize that next day may not look like that,
Right.
but it's our perception because the sun is going to shine anyway. It's just the way we look at it. But if we're disciplined to know that, okay, I know I can get into that depressive state. I know I can get into that sadness and things like that. They say that because of artists, whatever, but because calligraphy, I taught myself calligraphy and I didn't know it then, but I was gaining a very strong sense of discipline. And I realized just going through the journey that without discipline, I can be and superficially, I can be all the things that I want to be. But when push comes to shove, when I need to get to the grind, to the nitty gritty, and when I need to push past that particular depression because I need to do something, it takes discipline. Discipline.
I love that
So,
you chose that word, right? Because discipline stands up when motivation sits down.
Absolutely.
so how does one become disciplined? Because somebody's thinking right now that they're not disciplined, but they're disciplined enough to
Your
go to work
habits.
every day. They're disciplined enough to, to pay the bills, to go do things for the kids, to do all of the other things. How does one become disciplined to do the things for themselves?
You
Making
you
it a priority.
to me, I have to write it down. I have to put it on a calendar. So right now I have an idea of what 2025 is, the big things I want on my calendar, the big things of where I want to spend time at, what cities I want to be in, what things I want to be doing, what people that I want to be with. And then day to day and week to week, other things are going to come up, but I have an overall strategy for 2025. If this is what I'm about, this is what I need to do, and this is who I need to be to do those things and to follow through on the commitments that I'm making. So for me, it's about looking at that time and making sure I'm devoting that time. One of the things that was like on my mind for 2025 is that I wanted to cut down on the social media idle scrolling. I said, well, you got to find something to do in between. So it's like, okay, so when you start scrolling, you need to go pick up a paintbrush, you need to go pick up a book, you need to go journal or something like that. And then I started getting the messages that, your screen time is down. I was like, exactly, because that's what I needed to be. And if I am scrolling, am I scrolling for something that's going to be a benefit?
Mhm.
Sometimes you can scroll and it can have entertainment. Great. But is it something that I'm learning? So one of the other things I did, I was like, let me go back to school. Let me just take a class here and there. Let me sign up for something. If I'm scrolling online, let me sign up for a class online. Something that's going to give back to me where I feel like, it's an investment.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And Crystal, you said something, with this particular piece here, you said how, how we're disciplined to pay our bills. We're disciplined to do for our children. We're disciplined to go to the store, go to the grocery, but mainly we're disciplined in paying our bills. That's because it's a priority. So if I'm not disciplined when it comes to me, I've got to say, okay, you're not a priority to yourself. Because
Mhm.
Mm.
whatever the priority is, we do what what's that saying? We do what we want to do, or we do
Hmm.
the things that are important to us. So, and I just did these not the what the second Beyond the Mirror, and I was saying that when it comes to self care, a lot of times we'll say, oh, I don't have time to do that. I don't have time to do this and do that. And the one thing we may need to question and ask ourselves, why not? We need to really assess, and that comes with self awareness. How much do I value me? How much do I love me? What is my level of self esteem and self efficacy? And it's not one of those, oh my God, if it's low. It's just a matter of self awareness. It's like addressing self and saying, okay, maybe I need to up the game. Maybe I need to up the game on that because once I up the game, me taking care of myself is going to be just as important paying them bills on time.
Yeah, I really love that. Just even hearing you say it out loud, if I stood in the mirror and said to myself, I didn't make myself a priority today, or you are not a priority to you, like that just hits, right? Like in a way that makes you want to pause and think, well, why not? Or why don't
Yeah.
I feel like I deserve to be a priority in the middle of everything? And those questions, those in the mirror questions, those things that you lifted up are hard, especially for Black women who have been socialized to put everyone first. We are
Hmm.
the caretakers of everything and everybody except for self. We will get to it, right?
Mhm.
And until you get to it and discover this power, this spiritual power that we have inside of us, like once we can acknowledge that it's going to cause me to be accountable to something greater, the freedom that comes with that. But we hold on to the fear. So, how do we break through from fear to freedom, acknowledging this power that we all harness?
I think that it comes with practice. It's not like, you're just gonna wake up, like you said, it's rainbows and unicorns, and now I'm standing in my power. It's the first time it's gonna be scary. The
Mm,
second time it's gonna be scary, and maybe the
mm,
third time a little less scary. But you're gonna be confronted with circumstances where you get to choose. And you have to realize, a lot of people say, well, I really don't have any power. Don't start
right,
from that. You got to recognize
right.
that you are. a powerful being. You co-create with your
Mhm.
thoughts, your words, and your deeds. And
Amen.
if you're looking at something and there's a vacuum there and you want to create something, go ahead and step into it. Put your toe in the water, and then get acclimated and start building. And you'll be surprised that when you step out into that water, there are so many people who are there to support you and to make sure you're not going to drown. You're looking at who's surrounding you, who has my back, that type of thing. But I don't think there's a magic from moving from fear to freedom. Is
Right.
just constantly, here's the circumstance, I need to do at least this much, and next time maybe a little bit more, and keep doing it to its routine. And then you get competent at that. When it gets to be something bigger again, you're probably going to have to go back and start again, build up the confidence level, and just keep showing up, number one,
Yeah.
and taking at least one step in the right direction.
I really love that
Amen.
you remind us that we are co-creators. Just have to
Mhm.
be careful who we're co-creating with,
Yes.
Right, right, right,
right? Like
right.
my minister used to say all the time, everybody sitting in your front row isn't cheering for you,
Mm-hmm.
No,
right? Like
no.
who are you co-creating with? I really love that you lifted that piece of it up, um,
Mhm.
as a reminder that we are a partaker, a player, key player
Mhm.
in this thing called life that we get to write for ourselves. So
And
thank you for that.
I think that's one of the fears too. It's empowering once you get to it. I was thinking also sometimes we don't want to get into that owning our power as well, because when we think of the word spirituality, sometimes we might go into the religion, and then now we have the laws. So that means, okay,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm acting in this spiritual capacity or in this spiritual realm, that means I'm gonna have to give up. I might like to drink. That means I'm gonna have to give up drinking. I might have to give up my cigarettes. I might have to give up partying. So I don't want to go into that right now. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to tap into that spirituality world, because I'll have to give up so much. And we don't. I mean, things are going to transition as we move around in life. But I just remember thinking. I remember one time this guy had this years ago. He was a minister, and he had asked me. I wasn't. He had asked me to marry him and everything. I was scared. I said, "Oh Lord, no, I can't." I like doing stuff. I
I like doing stuff. Right.
yeah. So, I had to say no, because no, I didn't want to step into that, because I was taught, once you acknowledge that this is where you want to go, you're going to have to give up some things. I was like, okay,
Right.
well, I'm not ready to give up those things. But we really don't. We don't have to give up those things.
But along that journey, though, some of those things you may give up, right?
Right.
When it's time. And we talk about getting to, I don't know, that place or whatever, but that journey to getting there, like, is so incredibly important, because that's where all the lessons hang out. That's where all the healing hangs out, in that journey. And if we don't take the journey, we never really get there. So yeah, the crying, the thinking you're failing, the thinking you're not doing the thing, it's all part of that journey. And as you continue to elevate, it's like, you're in a hotel and you're staying at, one of those top floors. Well, everybody's not going up there. And so
Mm-hmm.
every time, the higher you get in that elevation, the more people are going to get off. And so it's
Mm-hmm.
also some of those things. There are going to be some things that just, you're not forced to give up,
No,
but you're going to give up. You're going to give some of them
you
up
want
because they
to.
just can't be a part of that next walk that you're going on.
You don't want them anymore.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's the difference between have to give it up as opposed to, okay, I don't want it anymore.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. Right.
There's
Like
a
Yeah.
Sonny
difference.
just said in the chat, release helps us receive
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
how much
release.
we're
Oh,
holding
that's,
on. Right. Like release helps us receive. So you
yeah.
will discover some things that no longer serve you. and you will
Yes.
find it real easy to let go,
Yeah,
to make
that's
space for
cool.
what does, right? Yeah.
So I had this visual of like being on the obstacle course, all the things that you want are out there, but then you have all these things that you need to release. So you having to jump over, run around, you
Yeah,
do extra, backflips to try to get to the things you want. But if you just release those, your path becomes so much clearer, direct, and you're
Absolutely.
able to move with this velocity.
yeah,
Right. Like you
yeah,
discover that you're worth it.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
You
yeah,
deserve it.
Yeah.
yeah. That was pretty cool. Thanks, Sharon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. I
and
agree.
that's the thing, the worth it. I mean, the worth it thing. You know, I think that's a lifetime with a lot of us. Mine is that enough.
Hmm.
I'm, bringing in enough. Am I enough? I mean, that's just, I just call that my karmic debt. The lesson for me in this lifetime. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And that part is okay. And see, that's the thing. The thing for me is I'm learning. It's okay sometimes to feel guilty. It's okay sometimes if you're feeling regret. It's okay if I'm having shadow thought, because for a person to say, okay, no, once you reach a certain level of enlightenment, you're not supposed to have shadow thoughts and things like that. And I
Hmm.
disagree, because yes, we are divine, but we're also human. I've got a
Hmm.
Right.
human
Right.
element.
All of
So,
that.
so yeah, so embrace it, because the more you embrace your shadow, at least for me, the more I embrace those shadow thoughts, the less they come. And then sometimes I laugh. I said, Lord have mercy. And then sometimes I'll say, I said, no. And then sometimes the shadow thought will be so deep. I'll say, okay, Father, Mother, God, I don't want to think that. But then I also have to understand too, I recognize that's a thought. That's not me.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
So I can eliminate that or subjugate it. You know what I mean? But to for me, just giving up that guilt, regret,
Hmm.
guilt. Oh, I should be doing better, and it can, that part can be really difficult. And to me, that has nothing to do with discipline. It has nothing to do with love. It has nothing to do with the purity of the heart. To me, that's pure ego.
Mm-hmm.
So, Dr. Anita, I want to go back a minute, because when you were answering the very first question and talking about the denial to the awakening, you mentioned something about bitterness and bitterness in the awakening. Can you talk about that?
Sure. I mean, just during life, life situations, life circumstance, things and people can leave us bitter. Even things that we do for ourselves can leave us bitter. And that bitterness, and what I mean bitterness, I don't mean um, uh, grudges or anything like that. I mean that, or that. How can I explain it? The the that lower vibration that keeps you in that state that it's how can I explain it? Because what I'm saying bitter, almost like a bitter, like the bitter of a lemon, but it's not so huge, but it's just enough. It's just
Hmm.
enough to keep those blessings away. It's just enough to have us being judgmental. There we go. Thank you. The bitterness where we become judgmental.
Hmm.
Who does she think she is?
Hmm.
Or just that type of, and you're not player hating, but it's that judgment. It is. It's that subtle judgment, and before you know it, before you don't may not even be aware that, okay, I'm holding on to this bitterness, when it's just a judgment call. You're scorekeeping, and you're
Hmm.
scorekeeping because what you think and it could be bitterness against yourself, that I should be there, or I'm not at a place where I feel I want to, or the universe is just keeping stuff from me. That's what I mean.
Hmm.
You know what I
And, and
mean?
and that's really, really huge, because part of that journey is you have this thing you know that you're supposed to do, or this success that you're supposed to have. You see it, but you feel like, okay, how can I do this thing, or how am I going to get to this thing because of where you are right now? And like you said, it'll keep you from getting there.
Yeah, yeah. And then that enlightenment is realizing, hey, I'm here because of the choices I made. Oh,
We're not going to tell the truth, are
so
we?
if I want to change something, I'm bitter. Okay, I'm bitter because I made the choice to be bitter, and because I made the choice to be bitter, my thing is, okay, because I made that choice to be bitter, this is what I'm putting out in the universe. That's exactly what I'm going to receive. So now the enlightenment is, hey, if you want something better, you better change your thinking.
Right. Yeah. So I really love the comment that Sharon just dropped. It's enough I could get you to respond to that, right? Like she was like, I'm still building my spiritual muscle because awakening can be exhausting and empowering. How do we get past the exhaustion to stay in it to get to that empowered place where growth and enlightenment can happen?
Strengthening that discipline.
So exactly, showing up every day. It's going to be exhausting until you build your endurance, until
Absolutely.
you're disciplined enough to just keep showing up and doing one thing. And if you show up and you're like, I don't know what to do, take a pause and say, now what one thing can I do? Because there's a million possibilities. What one thing can I do right now? Maybe I can't do a huge leap, but I can do a baby step and then
Absolutely.
build on the baby steps. And oftentimes it seems exhausting because we're trying to do that huge leap, but it's a new realm for us. And it's beyond our present capacity. So maybe we need a baby step, but we do have to show up and we do have to be disciplined. And like I said, once you start building those habits, that hey, I'm number one, I'm going to show up. Number two, I'm going to do at least something small each day to move me forward. And I'm going to be grateful for whatever that small thing is. I'm not going to have that bitterness out there. Oh, I should be at 10 miles instead of 1 mile. I'm going to be grateful I made it to a half a mile today.
Absolutely.
Keep doing it. And then because at the end there is something wonderful waiting on you, but you can't necessarily make it all happen right now in this moment.
Right. And and within the process, have fun. We take
Yes.
spirituality so serious. I mean, we get so serious when it comes to spirituality, boy. Loosen up. And that's loosen up, because that can be exhausting, being so
The hustle
serious
and
all the
grind.
time. Yeah, have fun with it.
Hustle and
Have
grind of
fun with it.
spirituality.
Huh?
The hustle and grind of spirituality.
Yeah,
Go with the flow
yeah.
instead.
And when we go with the flow, oh my God, it's like you don't have to push the door, you don't have to pull the door. When you go with the flow, the door is just gonna open.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It's just gonna open.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's
There's some work to figure that out, right? Like there's
Huh?
some work to
Absolutely.
figure that out.
Right. And you know what? Just a thought just came. And bless your heart, Sharon. When it's exhausting, we might want to say, okay, like you said, the door. Is that the door that I should be going through?
Ooh.
Because if it's tiring me, so maybe that's not the path. But maybe that's not the way. I ain't supposed to turn left. I keep trying to turn left. Maybe the universe tries to say, no, I need you to go right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
that's
Like,
the ego, though.
and that middle space where we get to that door and sometimes we push and walk away when God intended for you to pull.
Cool. Right.
Right.
It's like, why was you pushing?
Right?
It was opening very easily.
Yeah.
I've been saying that I've adopted this thing. I do things three times. That third one, I say, okay, it ain't for me.
Yeah.
Right. Like even that, setting a standard, right? Like to know when enough is enough, as opposed to exhausting yourself to something that was never meant to serve you anyway, or was not intended for you anyway. Yeah.
Oh, discerning
is key. Yes.
Right.
Yeah, oh yeah, discerning. Yeah.
Is discernment a gift?
I think
Can it
people may have more the ability to do it than others, but I believe we all have some capacity for discernment.
I
And
think
the
it's a
more,
muscle.
and that's, I was going to say, the more we exercise it, the more
Yeah.
we're aware of it, the better we get to be with that
Yeah.
skill.
We're so busy listening to all of this other stuff
Hmm.
that we can't listen to the very thing that's inside of us. And so
Mhm.
we have to quiet all of this other noise. And that helps to build that muscle. And then, again, there go the ego piece that says you feel the thing. You know you're not supposed to do the thing, and you do the thing anyway.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, that's just what I want to do. So now I'm gonna justify.
Correct.
Right. 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 Right.
Yeah.
So learning how to quiet that worldly voice to tap into the spiritual one. What does it take? Do I have to shut myself off from the world? Do I have to remove folks from my life? How do you begin to quiet the voice of the world to hear the spiritual voice within?
I believe you do have to step back, right? There is a thing about isolation. It doesn't mean that you totally cut yourself off from the world, but you can't hear when there's all of this other noise. You can't hear. You have to get back into that connection that you have with what's inside of you, the turning, going within. And it does require some isolation. It does require, stepping back from all of the things because you can't hear if you don't.
Well, sometimes, Crystal, and a lot of times the noise is in the head.
Right.
Sometimes
Right.
it's less
Yeah.
noisy out there than it is in here. So if I still myself, now I'm going to really be noisy. I'm going, my thoughts and everything are just so all
Right.
over rampant, all over the place.
And sometimes it, like you said, it's louder than the voices of others and more of a challenge, right? Like to still be still in that space, right? Like how do I quiet the voices?
Inside.
How, right? Like, right. Another area where discernment becomes necessary. And what I'm hearing inside of my head, is it the thing that I'm being called to do? Or is it, right, the instrument for chaos?
Yeah.
How? How
I
do
think
you
it's
find the
stillness.
one voice to trust?
Right. Part of that goes back to, though, that stillness. You're going to hear all of those voices and you're going to hear all of the things. You can't act immediately on it. You have to then sit there and you got to wait.
Mm,
You got to wade through it. You know what I mean?
mm.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
Yeah.
have to wade through it. And there goes back to that connection to self, right?
Mhm.
If I'm hearing 3, 5, 15, whatever things, which of those things feel good,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, that feel truly good and free, not the, oh, it feels good because I was over here drinking, like not that type of feel good, but the true feel good and feels light and feels like that's the way that like we don't. Was it last week? So the divinity mentioned we talked about trusting ourselves.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
So, right? So I got all these voices in my voices in my head. Yeah. I have all these
Yeah.
I have all of these voices in my head, but which voice am I going to listen to?
Right.
So usually when I'm sorting through, because you hear all the noise, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, is it for my highest good? Is it for others' highest good?
Mhm.
And then it's like, okay, that's the one I must give some attention to. I may have to, think more and reflect more on it. But if it's not for my highest good, I know it's just noise. If it's
Mhm.
for my highest good, but it's gonna hurt Anita, I ain't doing it. So
I
those two
love
things
that.
have to start right there. Those two have
Right.
to be in alignment before I can say,
Have to
oh,
be.
this may be something I need to move forward on.
Right.
I love
Right.
that. So yeah, so
In
anybody
that
that's
moment.
struggling That's a really good try on, right? Like try that on as a measure and ask yourself those two questions. Getting to, right, like that feeling, does it feel good? Does it feel purposed?
Right.
Is it for my higher self? Is it for, I love that resource. I love that idea of helping us sort through the noise.
Whoo, child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you go through this journey and you're no longer denying the gift, right? Like being connected spiritually is a gift, right? That you give yourself and then you get to give to the world. What did it give you? The freedom, the connection to that spiritual self. What did it give you, Zenell?
Freedom and just a peace, just a peace of mind, a peace and comfort. This is who you are. You get to embrace that. Yes, you're human. Yes, you're spiritual. You're divine. You get to share that. And then you're looking for others and you're looking and honoring the divinity in others.
Doc, as a spiritual practitioner.
Yeah, for me, it brings a relationship. It brings a relationship of oneness in the dynamics. It brings a relationship with my energy, my universe, and me connecting with the universe. You know, in the galaxy, if you will. You know, it connects me knowing that connection that I know I'm not alone. I know that I can call and say, okay, like I'm doing a hearing and I might say, okay, before a hearing, I say, okay, spirit, universe, Father, Mother, God, we on. Okay, I know and trusting that I know that when I need to receive an answer, that I know I'm going to get it. Without doubt, I'm going to get it.
That's peace.
Yeah, that's peace.
Yeah. And something we all aspire to, not easy to obtain and or hold on to. And it comes back to that messaging around practicing, building that muscle, sitting in that peaceful moment, and recognizing the joys that came with it. And how do I sign up for that one more time? Right? Versus being pulled back into the chaos of life and the chaos that we create inside of ourselves in order to feel something, right? And then have the audacity to call that life or love. We've been conditioned, right? Like that chaos has to be a part of go, 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 do. That sitting feels like I'm being idle and I shouldn't be idle. Crystal said, right? Like that stillness, that separation, that isolation is necessary. And it's important you know what to do with it. Because what comes on the other side is a gift that we all deserve.
Yeah.
It's and ease. When you experience it, you're like, I'm not going back to that other madness. There's no way I'm not doing that. The peace and the ease. And you hear now they talk about, I'm just a girl or the whole soft life thing. Well, how do you get to that peace and ease? It's not coming from a place of someone taking care of you. It's the peace and ease that you've created because you've gone back to that divine energy, that inside, what's in you, and connected to that. And I promise you, you will not go back to the other side.
And even in the
or if you do, you won't stay as long.
No.
But even in the chaos, because there is chaos. I'm gonna give some examples. I mean, and to me, I think I share with my daughters. I share with her because she's going through some things, and I say, okay, baby, I said, when you start getting a little hopeless, feeling a little hopeless, experiencing hopelessness, when you start feeling afraid, I want you to think on these things. Now, she had taken off work. She had to take off work for a reason, and she was concerned about not being able to get paid, because of sick time. Her coworkers donated 210 hours for her. I say,
Wow.
that's God. I said, see, when you start to, this to me, this is what I'm saying. Even in the midst of chaos, when I trust, I said, look, I know I'm getting through this because I know all I gotta do is keep, connect with that universe, connect with the energy, if it's moon, sun, dark sky, whatever, because it's all one energy and one love. And then another one, there was a raffle thing, and I there was a raffle, and we bought our tickets and everything. One day, after the raffle, she said, "Mom, just want to let you know the raffle, was drawn, and you won the grand prize." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's cool." I'm thinking, okay, a trip to maybe a weekend trip with a hotel or a TV. Grand prize was $15,000.
Wow.
That's God. See, these are
Right.
the things that I say. You know what? The miracle, I'm learning there is no difficulty in miracle. But my thing is, like, for me, I was just sharing with a friend of mine yesterday. I said, for me, my thing is reaching this state, going through the journey, because self awareness is a journey,
Hmm.
and all this kind of stuff. And the destinations show us the elevation kind of thing. But the thing here is, I'm thinking, okay, all of this, it's like, okay, if 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 I work on removing that inner doubt, then I ain't got nothing to worry about. So,
Hmm.
in lieu of concentrating on other things to take me away from removing that inner doubt, it's like I I don't want to. I don't have time for that because I want to remove this inner doubt. Because I know once I believe that thing, you have faith the size of a mustard seed with no inner doubt, it's gonna be this is gonna happen for you. I believe that from the bottom of my toes to the tip of my head to the tip of my heart. I have no question that'll happen. So my thing is being on this journey right now. It's like It's like, okay, why would I be out here looking for hamburger when I know I can go to the source and get me some steak?
How
Come on.
about it?
Come
How
on.
about it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
How
Yeah.
about it?
But
Yes.
I got to clear out that doubt. That doubt. So it's like, okay, I don't have time for that other stuff. You know what I mean? I don't want to spend time with that other stuff. I want to get that
Yeah.
inner doubt out.
I begin to think about some of the takeaways from this conversation and really understanding the importance and the power of exercising that good muscle to the things that will serve you. The word
Mhm.
ease keeps resonating with me, right? Really understanding that there is power that we all own and possess. And when we get to tap into that, the noise gets quiet. The peace has a place to be and to exist and to grow and to thrive. It is important for us to break away, to learn self, do some of that reflection, Doc, like you mentioned, and really understand who I am in this universe. What are the gifts that have already been given to me? What are the gifts that have my name written on them that I have not yet engaged with? And how do I release to receive those things that we deserve? Divine connection is every last one of our birthright,
Hmm.
right? And when we discover that, it makes life. And so, what's the invitation to try on, right? Like, how do we invite folks who have been sitting in doubt, who have been sitting in uncertainty? What would you say to invite them in to try on some of these practices that will awaken their spiritual connection? However they connect, right? Like mine is to God first, right? Like what that looks like for you that just begins to change the narrative. How would you invite somebody into that? And I want both of you to answer that.
I would
What's
start
the
out
invitation?
just give yourself 5 minutes in the morning before your feet hit the floor,
Mm.
and just sort of center and try to connect with the source, try to quiet the mind, and realize that everything out there is created for your good, and you're going to move forward with that type of energy. So so you're setting your mindset, you're setting your intention, your direction before your feet even hit the floor.
Mm.
I'm surrounded, I'm protected. I use the affirmation, I believe it's Charles Hannell, I am whole, perfect, strong, powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy.
Wow.
And then get up and go about moving through the day.
Yeah.
Doc.
That's beautiful, Zenell. Thank you. I'm gonna go back with Sharon. Release out loud to yourself what you're feeling.
Mm.
Tell yourself the truth, because once we do, then we're going to move on to the next. It's that keeping it in. I don't want to. I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to tell myself. I don't think that I love myself. I don't want to say that I'm angry. I don't want to say that I have forgiveness. Speak it. Speak
Out
it.
loud.
Say, I
Out
want
loud.
to change that. But once you release it, it's like, okay, now it's released. Now I can, well, once I release that, Sharon, once I release that bitterness, now I have room to bring in this other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But until we release it, it's still gonna be boomerang, bang, bang, bang. It's trying to get in, but it's just gonna like a boomerang kind of thing. Just release it. Hey, I'm angry. I'm hurt. I don't like what this person did to me. Yeah, I got to get over this, because you will once you speak it. Then okay, now I'm addressing it. I'm not hiding from it anymore.
Right. I love that out loud part, right? Like, 'cause saying it in your
Mhm.
head, that conversation can bounce around, right? Like, to say
Yeah.
it out loud
Mhm.
is
Wow.
so powerful.
Mhm.
So I want to piggyback on what Zenell said and add something to that, where you talk about in that morning before you start your day. Add to that visualization. Visualization, I believe, is just another powerful form of prayer. But visualizing, we have this connection, right? Actually
Mm-hmm.
go through the process of visualizing the connection.
Mhm.
Visualize that connection that you have to divine mind, and then accept, ask, and be open to the divine guidance that you're going to receive throughout that day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Connect to it. Like Michele said, it's our birthright.
absolutely.
Connect to it
I love
and
that.
act on it. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you recognize that you are worth, that you are deserving, that it has already been gifted, right? God wrote it long before you were even thought of.
Mhm.
If you lived in that space, unstoppable would be
Mhm.
what they would call you next, right? Like that kind of faith, that kind of trust in knowing that it was already purposed for you to
Mhm.
own all of the amazing things that are inside of you. And Black women, especially,
Yes, you
remembering, right? Being reminded, surrounding yourself with other Black women who are pouring into you and reminding you of your spiritual worth. There's nothing greater. And the idea that you would only dabble in joy is mind boggling to me. Mind boggling. To feel something that feels purposed for you
are.
and then decide that you are not worthy of that,
Mhm.
change
Mhm.
your circle, right? Like, who are you co-creating with? Zenell, I'm going to be on that
Absolutely.
co-creation all week. Find me
Mm-hmm.
my circle, right?
Absolutely.
Like, you have a vote,
Oh yeah.
right? The world, God, and you get to decide where will you stand and receive what has been gifted for you. So I told you it was going to be the fastest hour of your day. Doc, talk to us about Tap Into You and the other works that you're doing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, tap into you. That's the tap into you movement. It's all about self-awareness. Like I said, I practice, I'm energy principle practitioner, and it's all about self-awareness and inner peace. So that's my work. That's my work, as well as Michigan Unemployment Appeals Advocate, which the Tap Into You goes into that work too after a while with claimants and everything, which I love that. The Tap Into You is just about inner peace, and the new initiatives that I have now is the awareness shift podbean.com. It's a podcast. So those of you, I'm an energy gal. So I do the numbers. I study my numbers. I know, my yearly thing. I know the yearly vibration. I mean, that's just what part of this self-awareness, because it is one energy, one love. So it's almost like, why wouldn't we tap into the energy that's all around us, because it's one energy. And I love what Zenell said on the video that she did from that we're bodies of energy. And I said, oh, I love that. So it's the awareness shift, and every Sunday I release a segment to talk about the vibration for the coming week. It's like this coming week is all about self-expression, love, and affection. So I have that video, and then I also have on my YouTube channel. It's called Beyond the Mirror Insights, where I talk about self-awareness, the things about self-awareness. I just finished a video. It's called The Road and Intentions, and I start off with how my sister, when she was here, her favorite saying was, "The road to hell is paved with good intentions." And I share with that about self-awareness. So those are, so that's what I'm doing right now. And then we're getting to go into our 4th year with the Sister Peace Partner, with the Tap Into You movement. And let's see. Yep. That's it. And I started back my theocentric psychology study, which
Awesome.
I put it aside for about 2 years ago. And I just looked at it and I thought, oh my God, I got this course in 2017. And it's 2000. So everything is in divine proportion, time, love, and order.
Right. Yeah.
At times. So I'm in a good space, and I'm loving absolutely everything that I'm doing. Yeah.
I love it.
Thank you.
Zenell, tell us about the work that you do.
So as I told you, I've pretty much planned out 2025. I work for the Michigan Judiciary, so doing a lot of D&I work in those spaces with court leaders, judges, and looking forward to doing that over 2025.
Oh, we need to
Virtually,
talk.
virtually, I'm on LinkedIn, and my goal there is just to highlight our connection with one another. So most recently I shared about the upcoming tour. I don't know how to pronounce it, the Arai or Arayo, which is from Japanese America, talking about the internment camps. They've done a monument and it's going to tour. So I'm sharing that. Doing things with like women lawyers. It's my belief, like Dr. Powell was saying, that we're all one. But we know so little about ourselves and about each other that we sort of silo and break off. So how do we spread information? How do we have conversations? How do we make sure that everybody knows that they belong where at the best places, the highest opportunities are there for everyone to partake in. So my role has just been sharing the various cultures, things that I may not even know about, but stumble into. Most recently, I learned about Michaela's Voice, which is a Netflix 24-minute documentary of a nonverbal 14-year-old who gets a communication board so she can finally speak to her parents and tell them, what is it like to have autism and not be able to talk to you? And I've observed everything, and I'm a intelligent person, and I want to have this connection. So just sharing different things like that.
Yeah, that's cool.
I love it. Yeah, Crystal, I mean, as I'm sitting here hearing her talk, and that January 20th is fast approaching, a conversation needing to be had with Black women sitting in DEI spaces and doing this work. And what does that look like in 2025 to still remember that we are amazing despite, right? And so that conversation is a conversation that we're going to have to create space to have. Black women that do this work at that level don't have spaces where we get to come together and remember that we are still amazing despite, in spite of, and what are the strategies to get through 2025 and this administration as a whole, still being able to own our amazing. We
Mhm.
need to talk, Zenell, for sure.
Okay, definitely.
Oh, I love it. This was wow, pretty fast. Great. You know, Amazing Women Speak started for this very thing that happened today, and seeing Sharon's comment says lets me know that we're doing a thing. She said, I manifested this moment when I admitted that sometimes I feel like I'm overwhelmed and
Yeah.
failing. And that goes back to you, Dr. Anita, saying, say it out loud.
Oh,
Say
yeah.
the thing
Mhm.
out loud, because when you say it, your healing comes behind it.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Your healing will come behind it. So I'm super excited. Thank you, ladies, both. Dr. Anita, it's always a pleasure. You come over here and
Always.
crack us in the head every single time. And then Mrs. Zenell came in and gave us all of the things. I love it. I love the transparency. I love that the way Michele always curates these conversations isn't that we're just talking about a thing, but you leave here, if you were paying attention, that you leave here with the tools, the resources, and suggestions on how you get to your next level. And that's really and truly what this thing is all about. So thank you, ladies, so much for that.
Thank you.
I am
Thank
Crystal
you.
Good. I am a Black woman, and I positively own my amazing every single day. Michele.
Yes, yes, yes. An amazing conversation. One, I get better. I get better. Being in the company of amazing Black women is elevation for me. It's pure, clean air for me. And I'm grateful that the two of you allow me to breathe a little better. So thank you for this conversation, Crystal. Always, always. I come to the end of the show full of gratitude because you're obedient to the call that God has put on your life to create a platform such as this that we get to elevate and celebrate and laugh and cry and really pay attention to what we need to own and operate inside of that gift that God established at birth. So I thank you, my friend. I'm here for the ride and don't ever want to get off. My name is Michele Harper. I'm a Black woman, and without apology, I continue to own my amazing. Zenell.
I'm just so honored to be here. The conversation, like you said, went very quickly for an hour, but has so many valuable nuggets in it. My name is Zenell Brown. I'm a Black woman going on 60 years of being a Black woman, hope to see
Yes,
another 60. And I own amazing, and I hopefully get to share it with others.
Absolutely.
yes, yes. Doc, it is always a joy to have you.
Yeah,
Yes,
thank you.
yes. Close us
Thank
out.
you so much. But I want to say, Zenzel, thank you for coming on. Soon I just
Thank
asked her, she said,
you.
sure, when is it going to be? That's my energy sister. And I love you guys. Crystal and Michele, I'm always um, so blessed to be here because I learned from you guys as well. I mean, you know what I mean? I love this sister share. This is just a beautiful sister share. And I am Anita, and I am a Black woman, and I own my amazing.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So, Amazing Women Speak, sponsored by the Amazing Women Network, which was created to unite and empower Black women globally, focusing on our core pillars of reclaiming our personal power, mind, body, and spirit, reclaiming our financial power, and increasing our social involvement. The world continues to need healing, and I am convinced that the Black women will keep doing that thing. So thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you got a little bit of what you need in order to make your 2025 more amazing than your 2024. Thank you so much, all. And we will see you next week.
Blessings, peace.